And good evening, Zelda fans. We are back on Speed Gaming 3 with more action in week 1 of the ALTTPR League Season 4. And Cool Papa Bell 2282, and alongside me is Radical Sniper. How you doing tonight?
Doing great. So we are, as you said, this is week 1 of the league. It means we are playing more co-op info share, all dungeons. On the left side, we've got Team Mogliacci. They won game 1. We got Julo Ninja and Orange tonight. Orange played game 1 with Moogle Charm. For Boomer Friendly, we have actually the same duo as game 1 with Dawn Veneer and Leviticus tonight.
Yeah, and both of these teams are veterans of the league. They have shifted around their teams just a little bit, drop a player, add a player here and there as things happen. But yeah, they're both veterans to the league, and we will see what sort of noise they make. Obviously, Mogliacci off to a good start, taking their first win. So we'll see if Boomer Friendly can tie things up in this first week.
Yeah, Mogliacci was one of our, it's kind of not a new team completely. Well, it is a new team. This is just a kind of group that came together in the off season. While Boomer Friendly is actually one of our invitee teams from the Open League from last season. They made actually the finals of the Open League to get a spot in Invitational this season.
It's a great format. If you win the Open League, you get to play against the harder competition next season. Great deal. But looks like we see our runners splitting up. Dawn is going to do a hula hand glitch here, pick up some bombs early on, pick up some money early on, and probably use that to buy some bombs and maybe head to South Shore, have some options there.
Yeah, we did get that Lumberjack Scout from Orange, just a heart container, so we're definitely not killing Aga just for that.
I've seen quite a few items, seeds with items on Lumberjacks so far this week, which is not as big of a deal when you're doing all dungeons and you have to beat Aga 1 sometime anyway, but just more convenient to do that at the very end if you can get away with it.
We also get that scouting of the Lake Hiley Island, just some bombs, so we will not be seeing that either. So Orange is in Lost Woods. Meanwhile, Julo is coming from the opposite side here, so they're gonna kind of do a pincer maneuver on our Kakariko village. Julo trying to grind out some bombs here at the south of the Grove. Those are two 50-50 bushes there.
Allegedly 50-50.
Yes, allegedly. I've definitely had times it's been much better and times it's been much, much worse. But we're going to get a scout of Race Game as Dawn is heading towards our dam. Race Game is nothing.
Whole lot of heart pieces flying around everywhere.
Yeah, and that's nice for a player on a team. You have to, you're not going to find a ton. Kind of one of the tough parts of doing these co-op races is knowing, hey, I'm probably going to be not getting a second row of hearts, as we do get the hammer.
And we also saw a hook shot in the basement of Blind's hut there, as well as Leviticus giving us an early ped check, and that is the cape on the pedestal. So if something shows up on Bumper Ledge, we might be pulling ped today.
Yeah. Nice knowledge to have. You find that book early and going and being ready to read, or taking the time to read ped is not a bad idea.
And again, just like with Lumberjack, ped is not really the horrible location that it normally is. Since you're going to beat all those pendants anyway, it really is just another check to do in all dungeons.
Back of the Kakariko well does give us our first sword, as Mini Moldorm Cave has the flippers and the boots. It is Footwear Cave.
Yeah, that's definitely a good find for Boomer Friendly. Also very convenient to find flippers right there. Can just transition into all of these water checks as well, although Don Venier does not currently have enough rupees to buy the Zora item.
Yeah, and Don's gonna have to be a little bit careful here. No sword, down to 2 hearts. Those crabs do 2 hearts of damage, and I really like this play. Heading up this little peninsula here works out nicely. You kind of bypass those crabs.
Yeah, that boots with no sword can really be a liability sometimes because you just sort of get into those patterns of dashing through enemies all the time, and then it's like, oh, I don't have a sword. I can't actually do that.
We also did get a hook shot out of Blind's Hut, so really finding some nice early steps between that glove and hook shot on Mogliacci. That also gives us a lot of access up Death Mountain. And Dawn setting up for the water walk. Nice little stored water walk there, of course. What you do is you dash out of Ice Rod Cave along the edge, and then if you go off the diagonal right by Ice Rod Cave and then go down the waterfall, you end up in the water walk.
Yeah, I've never actually done that one before. I always just sort of run down the right side and then jump down into the water on the Flute 8 screen. So I don't actually know which one of those is faster.
So there's screen transition wise, of course it's the same, but it's having to run around on the crab side that's kind of slow.
And again, without that sword, very dangerous dashes to be making too. So, and this is very nice for Boomer Friendly. Donven, you're going to be able to check out the Bonk Rocks here on the way to Kakariko.
So Orange is heading up Death Mountain right now as Julo clears out, finding those boots and flippers. I don't think we're going to see Orange go right for those checks, as we do get our first bottle off the old man. Never mind, I was so wrong. Orange is going for boots because who wants to run slow?
Yeah, I think the plan there was for Orange to just go ahead and take that hook shot across the Paradox Cave, but when you show up, that idea to just right away. You've got the save and quit point back up to the old one anyway. It's really no lost time to just head right back up there.
And this kind of works out nicely because not only does Orange not spend the time on Death Mountain, Julo also is able to relay the information saying, hey, we got a hammer here, so that's all of Death Mountain. You can get into Hera. We're still lacking fire to clear Hera, but you're going to be more tempted to at least, Hera pot and do it all.
And meanwhile, we see some more really good scouting on Mogliacci's side. Julo Ninja seen the mirror on Desert Ledge, which we can get to with that early book.
Yeah, the only thing we're missing is, of course, fire to clear Desert Palace, but, taking the time to go and make this play is paying out nicely. And there's the big payment. We got a Moon Pearl in the Igor room of Desert Palace.
Really rising. I guess I always just sort of assume that when you get access to Paradox Cave this early, it's because there's some Dark World access up there, but we can now get into the Dark World very early, and I think this is really good for co-op leads, actually. Lots of different places that you can go. Gives you plenty of options for sort of splitting up the checks between the two teammates.
Yeah, and realistically, I mean, look at some of this, what we're going to be able to do here. Julo, as soon as Julo reaches Dark World, Swamp Palace is full clearable right now.
Yeah, that's really fascinating with those early flippers.
Yeah, it doesn't look like Julo's going to be able to finish Desert Palace. I don't see any fire yet, and who knows when we're actually going to find some. But we can still do quite a bit. And, I mean, you have to wonder, does the lack of fire kind of keep Boomer Friendly away from that check for a little bit? And, oh my gosh, wow. Not only do we get a pearl out of Desert Palace, those are Titan's mitts. So we're getting a glove in its vanilla location.
sort of vanilla glove.
I mean, it would have been a glove if it wasn't for the fact that we had already found our first glove.
It could have been a vanilla glove, I guess, but yeah, that is a loaded desert palace today. That's absurd.
Yeah, that's a pearl, a mirror, and a Titan's mitts all in that desert area. And luckily, Leviticus heading there now, able to relay that information about the mirror, but also say, hey, we is about to be able to say, hey, we got a pearl and a mitt.
Yeah, it looks like Don Venier is headed in that direction already. But yeah, that really makes the save and quit off of the mountain seem really good, because now Mogliacci can have someone with mitts making all of those checks and just clear basically the entire mountain at once, short of any fire requirements for Tower of Hera.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see that pretty soon is, Julo's heading into the Hype Cave area. I wouldn't be surprised if Orange goes right back up the mountain to do Light and Dark Death Mountain full clear.
We did get a map check, not the biggest deal in all dungeons, but we've got red crystals at Eastern and Desert, pendants in Swamp and Mire, and the green pendant at Turtle Rock.
And we have definitely seen Turtle Rock as a pendant so far this week kind of have some interesting implications in races. While this is all dungeons, that does not necessarily mean you're going to be in go mode by the time you reach GT. We have seen quite a few races so far already this week where go mode was inside of GT.
Yeah, and you got to be a little suspicious when both of those Cane of Samaria locked dungeons are pendants. Both of the dungeons that require medallions to enter are pendants. Those are legitimate candidates for progression showing up in GT.
Yeah, I think the one thing that kind of helps you on that Samaria front is just knowing that Ice Palace is a crystal. So there's definitely a higher likelihood that you still need to do or still need Samaria to clear that dungeon.
Yeah, a weird little quirk of the logic that we often don't think about is if a small key shows up on Cold Stare himself, then the dungeon is Cane of Samaria locked. Even before Icebreaker, we were sort of getting around that requirement with the Ice Palace bomb jump anyway, but logic is still logic.
So Julo into Swamp Palace as Orange is back onto Death Mountain. And I believe that was a sword inside a Spectacle Rock. Yeah, that looks like it's our Master Sword. So really nice timing for that, as Orange does have the book. So we're going to actually get to see the Ether Tablet.
Yep, and I do like this play from Julo, just headed straight into Swamp Palace. Maybe waited until we potentially have a Fire Rod before we head over into the Village of Outcasts area and can clear both Thieves and Swamp at the same time. But you got this full clearable dungeon right now. Let's just do it.
Yeah, and I love the route that's going to evolve here for Julo. Orange is going to full clear the mountain, and that's going to take a good little bit of time. But concurrently, Julo can go from Swamp and just head up to VOO and, just knock out checks one by one. So they're really going to be able to work through that in a nice fashion. Meanwhile, over on Boomer Friendly, Leviticus heading into Village of Outcasts as Dawn went through the 4 portal towards Hype Cave. So I'm not sure how they're going to approach this. If they both head towards Village of Outcasts.
I would think that we'll see Don Venier headed into Swamp as well, and let Leviticus handle all of the stuff in West Dark World. So.
And it does look like Julo is skipping left side for now.
Yeah, I did not see if Julo got the big key, but I'm a big fan of not doing the left side until you have that big key, because if the big key drops in, Waterfall Room or off of Argus, you have to come back in for the big chest anyway, and so then you can do the left side then.
And I missed which chest specifically, but Orange is already on Tempered Sword.
Wowza. So definitely a good find there. That's going to speed up combat for the rest of the game for Orange, for sure.
And we have a heart container on the floating island. And we are going to get to see what medallion we need for Turtle Rock.
And Don Venier is putting off the swamp dip just a little bit. Might be thinking about wanting to see what's here just south of the village so that Leviticus knows whether to go there or not after Thieves Town. Or maybe Leviticus is thinking of heading north, so Don Venier is going to just take all the South Dark World stuff, but does find Bombos there in Cave 45.
Yeah, not exact. You know, that's a great find for sure. We do know that Bombos is required for Turtle Rock. At the same time, that means you can get into Ice Palace. Logically.
Yeah, and now Don Venier not even going all the way over to Digging Game that says, now I've got 2 dungeons I can full clear logically, so, well, probably logically for Ice Palace. Again, not sure if that is technically cane locked.
And Orange finding our Ether Medallion up there on Death Mountain, so we'll see if maybe that'll become necessary later. But we are going to get the Hera clear and probably well, we're going to get a check of Ether Tablet. Who am I kidding?
And Julo finishing off our first dungeon of the game, getting through that Fighter Sword Argus fight, not easy. You can kill the puffs with double spins, but it's definitely tricky.
Yeah, and Julo is going to head back into Swamp Palace here to check out the rest of the items on left side. And Orange, you know, going for the Harapot here, the hook speed variant. Nicely done. For that trick, all you're looking to do is put yourself in the top left corner and then move right a little bit and then hold down right and hook the edge of that pot. Or cauldron or whatever you want to call it.
And we did find the big chest on the first, or big key on the first floor there, so we can open the big chest on the way up. I think there is probably one item left here, potentially on Moldorm, or perhaps locked in the basement. We'll see.
Yeah, we're still lacking any fire source at this point. But as Julo has taken down Swamp, we do have Orange finishing up Hera, and oh no, we got a small key. We're leaving behind an item.
Yeah, and that could definitely sort of warp your team's routing for kind of the rest of the match, right? Because I think on solo you just say, well, there's nothing in the basement, I don't need to check that, and then you just pretend there's nothing there for the rest of the seed. But maybe Julo sort of thinks like, I can't go up to Hera until I have a fire source to check that basement. So it's like you can rely on your partner to check it, but then they sort of have to, right?
Yeah, and unfortunately, there hasn't been the swords are nice. Like, those are definitely a reason to go for stuff. But the question is, you know, besides that and the Ether Medallion, we really haven't seen much off of these mountain checks from Orange. So is there going to be as much of a desire to make that climb again? Or that climb at all for Julo yet?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really tough call, right? Because, I mean, you also don't want to go through the rest of the seed with Fighter Sword until it's time to go to Turtle Rock and GT, but yeah, investing that time into the climb for just the swords of the lamp in the big chest of Swamp.
So there is our logical fire, finally. And Julo is heading over to check out the Bombos tablet, at least give a read on it.
So maybe there's some incentive for Julo to climb the mountain now.
And just 10 arrows, so not a huge impulse there. Now, Orange surprisingly not checking King's Tomb or Bonk Rocks. Unless I missed one of them.
Yeah, we have seen Bonk Rocks, but that King's Tomb is still available. Oh, and I definitely missed, Julo found a bow somewhere.
As well as apparently Leviticus. So one of our trackers tonight, Jinxie Girl, saying that there was a bow in left side swamp.
We missed it. I saw the big key get pulled on left side swamp and did not see the more important thing.
And our other tracker, Lady Laura Linda, saying there was a bow in Thieves Town. So there we go. Those are our bows.
Also a good time to shout out our two trackers tonight. We've got them displayed on the screen, so they're getting acknowledged throughout the entire race. Thank you very much to you two for keeping us on track this whole time.
Yeah, that bow works out really nice. Combine that with the lamp that Julo acquired in Swamp Palace, and this makes Eastern and Palace of Darkness kind of trivial. So I love this play right now. You know, that's 2 quick dungeons to knock out, and just a ton of items between those 2 dungeons, as well as Sahasrahla.
Yeah, the item density in this part of the world right now, when you can clear both these dungeons at once, is pretty tremendous.
And we had 2 bottles in Sahasrahla's closet today.
Anyway, Sahasrahla running a small moonshine operation.
And I don't think we've actually seen Sick Kid, surprisingly. We are getting to see Bumper Ledge now, and it's just a piece of heart, so definitely not heading back for that anytime soon. So that cape on our pedestal is pretty much dead. I mean, unless you want an invincibility item to get through Spike Cave.
Yeah, it's theoretically logically required for Spike Cave, but once again, not actually required, so I don't think we're going to see that one today.
And Orange working across these North Dark World checks, so we're going to get to see Graveyard Ledge and King's Tomb here, as well as from Leviticus.
Yeah, so Orange is looping these checks. I think it would have been more efficient to do them on the way to the village and save some mirror transitions once you're over in this part of the world, but...
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if Orange is looking at this as, you know, let me do those North Dark World checks, and then I'm going to route to Thieves Town to Swamp to meet up in Pod Eastern. Because at this point, you know, Orange cleared the mountain, and there's really not a lot else. So I think, realistically, they're saying Thieves Town or Pod Eastern is going to have the next big piece.
Yeah, there's sort of always this push and pull when you're doing the co-op race of, like, do you bet on where you think the progression is? Like, I bet it's going to be in pods, so we should get there as quickly as possible. Do you just get as much new information as quickly as you can? And I think mostly that team is probably thinking that this is their best chance to check stuff like Grave Ledge and King's Tomb, so you might as well get it out of the way now.
Yeah, and as you know, as we said, there's not a lot of requirements left for this to be GT. I mean, look how quickly we've acquired most of our items to clear the crystal dungeons. Oh, Eastern, Desert, Hera, Pod, Thieves, and possibly Ice are all clearable right now.
Yeah, so we're just Fire Rod from GT Access?
Yeah. But there is Dawn's first dungeon clear with Swamp Palace. As Leviticus is heading for Palace of Darkness, gonna get those couple of bottles out of Sahashla's closet, and Jula working through Pod right now, as Orange is going through Thieves. And the other thing we might see from Orange is this could turn into Smith Chain and Purple Chest over to Pod Eastern.
Yeah, and Don Vineyard might be grabbing that Smith on the way up right now as well. So yeah, we're clearing out the last of our Overworld checks that we have access to at the moment.
So yes, if anybody's new to this whole thing, this is the Link to the Past Randomizer League. This is specifically the Invitational League. We have 32 teams in it, divided into 4 divisions. So 8 teams per division. Over the course of 7-week regular season, they will be racing in 7 different modes. Each week there will be 2 races between 2 teams. At the end of the season, the top 4 teams from each division make it into a playoff. They'll be sorted into brackets and they'll duke it out to see who wins it all. So this week is, of course, week 1, and for this week, the mode is co-op info share all dungeons. So you and a teammate are in a voice call throughout the race, discussing, sharing the information of, hey, this is where I found such and such item. And then they have to beat all the dungeons. So that's all 7 crystals, all 3 pendants, Aga 2, Aga 1, and Ganon.
Yeah, and if you play Link to the Past Rando and you have not done one of these co-op seeds, you should definitely try it. It is a lot of fun. It's definitely a new challenge in trying to keep all of your communication straight as you're also running the seed. And it also presents some challenges because you wind up running at a lot more low percent than you normally would, right? Because you're not going to go out of your way to pick up sort of the heart containers and things like that you would normally get just by clearing a bunch of checks, because your partner will just say, skip that, there's no progression there. So
right,
really
kind of surprising that you're looking at our 4 runners right now, and I'd say this is actually decent health for this far into one of these. This is, for many of these situations, like the heart total you'd expect at the end of a race for this mode, but really the heart containers and pieces have really come nicely for all 4 of them.
Yeah, and at least blue mail on everyone, which is also a luxury for sure.
Now, the interesting thing here is Orange getting that bow out of Thieves Town, knowing where our other bow is on the left side swamp. Are you going to invest the time for that silver arrow now? Like for Julo, the silver arrows is obvious. Like that's definitely going to be a huge time save later in the seed. But for Orange, there is a bit of a time investment to go to left side swamp.
Yeah, and it'll be the same question for Leviticus, who already has that Thieves Town bow. So yeah, we'll see if our teams wind up making the same choices. It feels to me like left side swamp is maybe not going to be worth it, but it sort of depends on how confident you are in your Ganon fight. And also, Boomer Friendly does not know where those tempered swords are, right? So those 2 swords on Death Mountain. So if you knew you were going to get tempered silverless, that's maybe a different story than if you're looking at potential Master Sword silverless.
Well, and Chad also bringing up a very interesting point here. That technically the big key was also left side, and that blocks your lamp. And given that we still don't have any other fire sources, you know, maybe you want that fire as well.
Yeah, and all told, the time you save in some place like Meyer Basement, which is a really tricky dark room, on top of how the silvers are going to help you with any boss fights that you have left, that might swing into that left side trip being worth it.
Yeah, and we're kind of going to see this right now for Leviticus and Pod, you know, working nicely through the dark maze, but there's just that extra little bit of ease, comfort when you can see where you're going through this.
And we saw the blue cane there at the bottom chest of the dark maze, so that cape on pedestal is very much not happening.
We do have a vanilla big key over in Eastern Palace today. That's definitely a, you don't like it, but it's still a better situation than having to gamble that 50-50.
Yeah, one day I'll be brave enough to take that gamble, but hasn't really happened yet.
And we get half magic. Meanwhile, Orange going for hammer pegs and the Smith turn in.
We also found the shovel, I believe, was that in Thieves Town as well? I'm not sure if we've seen that actually checked yet or not.
I thought it was. Our Smith is nothing, just a piece of heart. Very healthy seed. And yep, Orange is picking up that purple chest and gonna just bring this down towards Swamp Palace. Wonder if we're gonna get the swamp clear.
Yeah, I mean, that would flow pretty nicely together. Ooh, Red Cane is there on the Armos Knights.
Well, that means that Ice Palace is a fully clearable dungeon, so we are just Fire Rod away from GT mode. How much are you going to clear when you're down to just, you know, when you're in the GT mode is the big question.
I mean, there are so few overworld checks left, right? I mean, when Orange takes this purple chest, we will have seen everything, even if both teams haven't. Let's see, Boomer Friendly has not really seen anything up on the mountain. They have seen, like, back of Escape. I'm not sure anyone has seen the front of Escape yet. But I feel like we're going to see both teams rushing dungeons pretty quickly in the very near future.
And I hadn't thought about this, but we're getting an interesting play from Julo. If you're wondering why Julo's going over to Desert Palace, that's our other red crystal. Julo already has Eastern done and says, hey, I can get the other one right now. So maybe we get a Pyramid Fairy check into... possibly into Ice afterwards. You know, picks up that... picks up the Bombos medallion, does Pyramid Fairy, and then heads into Ice.
Yeah, or depending on how they're feeling about overworld checks, we could do Front of Escape then. You can transition that up into Catfish, but yeah, again, quite a few options there that will sort of tell us how they're thinking about wanting to play the rest of this seed. And Don Venier is just headed to the back of Eastern here. Going to grab this big key and then clear the 5th dungeon. But both members of Boomer Friendly are going to get their red cane very soon. And this will not be an item on Lanmo as far as I remember, because we had the Pearl and Mitts inside a desert already. So this is just for the red crystal.
Yeah, and I like the idea of trying to merge these in, you know, looking at possibly making those extra plays. And we're getting hammer strats for Landmolus from Julo. You know, still only on Fighter Sword, so this is really his best weapon.
Yeah, hammer is not a great weapon for this fight, but as someone who's practiced a little bit of NMG, bow strats are basically impossible, so...
They are a learned experience for sure.
But that is the 4th dungeon for Julo Ninja and 6th total on Mogliacci's side.
Yeah, Julo's starting to take a little bit of a lead in the crystal department. This is one of those things you really want to talk about as a balance of, like, you know, looking at oranges and, you know, the question becomes, okay, how quickly should we have you kind of play catch up? You know, when do you focus on clearing old dungeons instead of making new checks? And I think that's kind of where we're at, is Julo's kind of transitioning into those new checks, and Orange is going to start playing cleanup a little bit.
Yeah, and this was sort of inevitable, right? When they split up at the beginning and Orange spent all that time clearing Death Mountain for not much, really, and Julo just rushed straight to Swamp. That sort of got him ahead a little bit as far as that goes. But
yeah, and as long as Julo is still comfortable with just keeping at a Fighter Sword, you know, maybe... Are we going to see Fighter Sword Ice Palace from Julo at this point?
yeah, I mean, one of the things about having those silvers is that Fighter Sword is not so bad, right? Because one of the worst fights for Fighter Sword is Vitreous, but with silvers, it's, you know, pretty much free, so...
Yeah, and, like, but Cold Stare on Fighter is genuinely probably one of the more terrifying fights in the game.
Yeah, if we had Fire Rod, that half match would pretty much take care of it. But yeah, Fighter Sword Cold Stare is not a fun time.
But here we go. The new information we're going to get is what is at Pyramid Fairy.
And yeah, Boomer Friendly also making pretty quick work of Pod and Eastern here. Dawn grabbing that half magic, but knowing there's not a lot to be found in Palace of Darkness, this will pretty much just be grab the big key and then head to Helmasaur.
Yeah, and both, you know, Dawn and Leviticus inside of this Eastern area. I don't hate the idea of, you know, sometimes you need to have both runners doing the same things, but it's a question of, you know, getting new information. And Pyramid Fairy is not the answer, but Julo picking up or emptying out that bottle to find out, hey, red goo from Pyramid Fairy.
Seeing the Hammer Yump on Don Venyer's side. I was going to say, I have no idea if that's correct based on the sprite that he's using.
Well, and the big thing you want to definitely do if you're learning a lot of those techniques of, like, bomb jumps or any of those clips or stuff like that is learn it by shadow more than anything else, because shadows are always universal. So... And I think that's kind of the thing from Dawn is, I want to say in game one, we actually saw a different sprite on Dawn's screen. So definitely a, hey, I don't care what sprite I use.
Ooh, this could be trouble for Dawn, though. Headed back toward Helmasaur, but doesn't have a small key right now.
Yeah, I'm hoping like we take a look up there, but definitely not.
Because, yeah, Dawn went through the right side originally, and then used the key to open up the front door to try and get back toward Helmasaur, but one small key short, unfortunately, as we find the powder there in Zelda's cell.
And yes, as Wallkicks points out in chat, yes, some sprites are very big and have you have a harder time seeing the shadow. And yep, there you go, Dawn realizing I don't have a key. Yeah, and that's definitely a frustrating one for Dawn on that. You know, sometimes that just happens. You get into it and you're like, oh yeah, I'm good. And then you get there and you're like, oh, crud, I forgot to get that key. And it's definitely one of those things you only do in co-op adventures because you kind of just assume, hey, I don't need to check these chests, or I had enough to get here or there.
Yeah, and on top of all this, right, you've got to keep track of all this stuff, trying to skip as many checks as possible, and also just constantly talking to your partner about who's going where and, you know, where you are now and where you're going next. There's just so much to keep track of in these races.
Yeah, and I do like this route from Julo. You know, I was assuming we might see Ice Palace sooner, but I like the idea of checking off some of these, you know, these overworld locations and just saying, hey, is there, you know, let's make sure we get everything else out of the way before we definitely put ourselves into ice, especially knowing that Julo's still on the on Fighter Sword. And hey, why not? There's our fire rod, and this is kind of scary. We're in GT mode officially.
Yeah. Flute and a potential Meyer medallion from being in full go mode.
And Julo expressing some displeasure, short on money, and just saying, yeah, goodbye, Zora.
I misspoke there. We are not short a medallion because between our runners we can see where all of them are, so whatever that is, at least Mogliacci knows where they are.
Yeah, at this point we really are just looking for an ice rod and a flute.
I mean, who could imagine being ice rod away from go mode? That's never happened before.
Never, especially not in an all dungeon seed with Turtle Rock as a pendant. Unfortunately, I've seen that actually in at least a few of the races already this season. We had just one the other night, and I can actually say my game 1 of the season was also one of those.
Yeah, Ice Rod has earned its reputation for a reason. It's very easy for the logic to put that in an out-of-the-way spot. And I'm curious about this this fire rod placement, because I know we saw a water walk into some flipper checks earlier on, but I don't know if we just didn't scout that ledge. I don't really remember what happened at that point in the race.
We might have just gone... Yeah, because... I am surprised by that play as well, because you're right. I think it was Dawn who actually was in that area.
And you never know, it might be one of those things that, you know, Dawn was there and ready to go look at the ledge, but then it's like, oh, you know, Leviticus finds the moon pearl in desert, and then all of a sudden your plans change just immediately. So have to go back and check the VOD to see what happened there.
Yeah, and on that discussion of those silvers, we actually did see from Orange and Leviticus that they both went for that left side swamp play. And, you know, as it was discussed, the fact that our big key was on left side for lamp in the chest just made it that much more a reasonable play. But Julo is working quickly through Ice Palace here. Nothing really of note yet.
A very nice 1 silver to finish off that Argus fight for Leviticus. That's dungeon number 8 total on Boomer Friendly side, which ties them up for the moment with Mogliacci, but they're going to finish a couple more dungeons in the very near future.
And here's the first skip we're really seeing of this race from Julo, going directly to Cold Stare, skipping Iced Tea Room. Julo breaking out that Bombos medallion. And ready to swap over to Fire Rod.
And I mean, I was just about to say, when we saw that Fire Rod on the ledge, that checking all that stuff in that area, there were a couple of things that Julo could have found to make this Ice Palace trip easier, and Fire Rod was definitely number 1 on that list.
Yeah, Fire Rod definitely just completely will cut through Cold Stare in no time. And I mean, this just shows how the route has worked out nicely for Mogliacci in this one. You know, Julo going from Swamp to getting that bow to do Pod Eastern, and then pretty much bringing that into Pyramid Ferry up to Zora to find that Fire Rod, and then now is only just entering Thieves Town and Skull Woods.
Yeah, so didn't have those silvers for Pod and Eastern. That is not that big of a deal compared to the efficiency that he's getting for being able to just do everything in this part of the world in one trip.
Yeah, I think the only big concern here for Mogliacci right now is, you know, do we find something in Hera Basement? And realistically, you know, they could check it later. Also, Zora.
Yeah, I think the good news on their side is Orange does have Zora money, so when he goes up for that Fire Rod, he can just check in with Zora while he's there. But yeah, if Hera Basement is a thing, I expect we'll see Don Venier checking that after beating Moldorm here, so that could definitely be an out for Boomer Friendly.
And the other question, of course, is what's a nice tea room?
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see if Leviticus and Don Venier are a little bit more... thorough is maybe not the right word, because I think these are definitely very reasonable plays that Mogliacci is making, but a little bit more completionist maybe is the right way to say it.
Yeah, there's definitely an argument, you know, maybe Orange goes into Ice Palace and goes, hey, I'll check it, you know, you worry about what, you know, clearing that stuff, and I'll check this one.
Yeah, I mean, that's possible, but I feel like if you're going to do that, you should have the first person go in and check it, particularly since Julo is a little bit ahead as far as dungeon clears go.
Well, actually, 6-5, I think now. Because I believe Orange does have Eastern Palace done as well.
Yes, that's true. Although, to be fair, one of the ones that Orange has done is Tower of Hera, which is going to be probably under a minute for Julo once he finally gets there.
Right. And, well, there you go. Zora was nothing, just bombs. And yeah, at this point, Team Mogliacci, I'd say, is building a comfortable advantage. From a full checks of the seed so far, as well as dungeon clears. Their routing really has paid off nicely up to this point. And Julu does pick up that red mail. So everybody's going to be on red mail tonight.
Yeah, that's a pretty convenient spot if you haven't been to Thieves Town yet. So for the time it takes to go that far out of the way, it's a nice little benefit. All right, we do see Iced Tea Room on Leviticus's side. That was just a big 20, so no disaster brewing there from Mogliacci.
And unless there's still an item in Skull Woods, I think that confirms this is at least something required going to be in GT.
Yeah, I don't think there's really anything else that we haven't seen. So question in chat about the swords. Yes, all of the fighter swords that people had were from the exact same spot, because the other two swords were up on Death Mountain, one inside Spectacle Rock and one in Paradox Cave, that Julo Ninja has just not been to yet and Boomer Friendly just found.
Yeah, Orange made the early play up the mountain without that lamp, and was able to get those two swords pretty early. So that's why we've had, there's been a bit of a sword advantage for Orange. And honestly, Julo's play on Fighter Sword has really been quite amazing.
Yeah, and that's an interesting sort of strategic choice, I think, that Mogliacci made, is, those sequence breaks early. If you find some progression behind a sequence break, that can help you sort of narrow down where the items that you skipped over might be. Now, in this case, it didn't really work out that way, but that's another advantage in co-op, is you can sort of have one person stick very closely to the logic, another person try a sequence break, and see if it leads you anywhere.
And there is that play, Orange going after Iced Tea. So
And another interesting choice here, Don Venier is up the mountain and is going to go ahead and duck into Turtle Rock here. It's pretty easy to get locked out of Turtle Rock if you have no Fire Rod yet, but that small key will keep us going a little bit longer.
yeah, and that's really unfortunate, because we do know where Fire Rod is, and Leviticus, saving and quitting right after finishing up the Ice Palace play. So, when does one of the runners check it? Is this... We talked about this, of Dawn was actually at, did the fake flip or the water walk and didn't go the rest of the way up to Zora area. Is this kind of a last location for them? Oh, there's the flute, though.
And that is definitely interesting. Boomer Friendly getting that knowledge about the flute. I have to expect that Mogliacci is going to think about dipping into TR before GT, but they might just go ahead and rush Ganon's tower and think that the flute is going to be in there somewhere.
Although we are getting that powder check, and I don't think we've seen this one yet. And it's just bombs.
I also still don't know if I'm supposed to pronounce Mogliacci like it's an Italian word or with Moogle in there, because I know Moogle is on this team as well. So I'm torn on that one.
See, I was going with the traditional opera, Pagliacci, so Mogliacci.
Yeah, but there's the G in Pagliacci too, and you don't pronounce that one. So
True. I don't know. But here we go. Dawn into the mire area. This is really new information. And if there was something that was going to help keep Boomer friendly in this race, it is that flute.
we see Quake there is our medallion for mire entry, which Julo has, but no one else does. I admit I have no idea where that was.
I think that might have been front of escape.
Oh yeah, that would also explain why we don't see the powder on Boomer Friendly side, because that was definitely in Zelda's cell. There's our butter sword in Checkerboard Cave.
And yeah, why not get it at this point? Let's be armed to the teeth. And it does look like Julo is making the play directly, you know, probably going to pick up Tempered Sword and then just head right into GT. If Ice Rod's in GT, that'll definitely send Julo very quickly over to check out TR and clear that. So we'll see what the play becomes.
Yeah, because if you hypothetically find both Ice Rod and the GT Big Key, that might be immediately a mirror out, and then you go full clear Turtle Rock, and then come back and do more of the basement if you have to.
Meanwhile, Dawn going with those silver arrows, really quick Lando kill, really nice. And Leviticus is also going to go get that flute. And probably a clear of Tower of Hera.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm fully convinced by this play from Boomer Friendly, because it really is betting hard on Ice Rod being somewhere behind that flute, because I think otherwise Leviticus could probably... Well, I guess it was up the mountain anyway, grabbing those swords. So I guess while you're here, it makes sense to go ahead and grab it.
Well, and the problem is that neither runner for Boomer Friendly has checked out Zora Ledge, which is putting us into GT mode. This is kind of this is the big difference. You know, I think the one saving grace for Boomer Friendly right now is that flute, but there's a lot of checks that they just haven't been able to make yet.
And Julo dipping into Hookshot Cave just long enough to grab that ether. They, of course, do not have knowledge of the Misery Mire medallion yet, so that makes sense to hedge your bets on the medallions, but is just headed straight over to GT.
Yeah, still has to clear out Tower of Hera for his 7th crystal, but I like the play. I imagine we're going to see Dawn head into Hyrule Castle after doing this Pyramid Fairy check.
Yeah, and Donna's going to be pretty excited to see that Quake when it shows up.
pointed out in chat, unfortunately, Leviticus having a save and quit before grabbing Flute out of Turtle Rock, so heading right back up there. But at this point, you know, it looks like we're going to have Mogliacci in GT, both runners at the same time, as Julo is climbing up Death Mountain, or Orange is climbing Death Mountain. Julo just took out Tower of Hera. I think Orange is going to open up TR. Question is, does Orange go into Turtle Rock and let Julo kind of just try to clear out GT basement?
I mean, I would say at this point it would be definitely a mistake to not at least check the front of Turtle Rock. And yeah, Orange is going to go ahead and open it up.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by this play. I think the big question is, you know, does Orange kind of diverge a little bit to find out if the Ice Rod is in here? And yep, Orange heading into Turtle Rock. So even that advantage that Boomer Friendly kind of had is kind of going away here, as, you know, we're seeing really smart split up at this point.
Yeah, really making use of the co-op format and kind of hedging your bets, right? When you're playing solo, you just have to pick something and roll with it. In co-op, you can pick two things.
Yeah, and by the time Julo clears out GT basement, Orange can pretty much get through all of Turtle Rock. So it becomes just, you know, hey, if it's not here, it's fine. Or completely the opposite of being able to say, hey, it's here, come get it.
Yeah, there is still the decision point of what was I going to say? Does Orange leave after finding the flute, or keep going through Turtle Rock and hoping to find the Ice Rod later on? I'm trying to think through if there's any way that Orange could potentially save a portal if he finishes, gets to Laser Bridge and does not find the Ice Rod.
So yes, what would have to happen is Orange would get to Laser Bridge, do a mirror, take a Death Warp, then go to Kakariko, head over to Mire, clear out Mire, and then hope to find it in Mire and take a Death Warp after beating Vitreous. But there we go, a big key in the rando room of GT.
Yeah, so you could mirror off of Laser Bridge and then die on Light World East Death Mountain, and then that would get you save and continue, so you could go activate your flute, and yeah, that would work.
It's a complicated process, especially given the fact that Orange is at red mail and 10 hearts.
Yeah, those Tektites will hit pretty hard on green mail, but far less so on red mail, as it turns out.
And that's a mushroom on the GT big chest. Oh, gosh. We have a vanilla big key for Turtle Rock, as we are also getting new information from Dawn in Misery Mire. And yeah, Leviticus is at least clearing out Desert, possibly Mire as well. I think, you know, for them, it's a question they have to, I think they might have forgotten Zora Ledge. Yeah. This is unfortunate. I think Boomer Friendly just has that as kind of like not in the front of mind to go do it.
Yeah, and at this point, it just feels like Mogliacci just has so much of a lead that, yeah, I just don't see a way that Boomer Friendly can really come back at this point, just having been without that Fire Rod for a little bit too long.
Yeah, I think the big play, you know, the good thing is, if Ice Rod's here in Mire, this could help them, but I still don't know if it's enough. But we are getting Mimic Cave, and we are getting a Tile Room play from Julo. It is not Mimic Cave, though. And there's Ice Rod. That is go mode in Tile Room. So at just over an hour, hour 4:20, Julo, Ninja, Orange, and Team Mogliacci are in go mode. So really nice. Julo leaving GT, heading over to Turtle Rock to go clear that dungeon, as Orange is now heading back into, or had to mirror, and is heading back into Dark World to go get that Ice Rod and then also the GT Big Key.
And an all dungeons Ice Rod hunt. Why wouldn't it end in the Tile Room?
Yes. So yeah, at this point, what do we have left? Julo and Orange have to finish up Turtle Rock, Mire, Aga 1, Aga 2 before Ganon, whereas Boomer Friendly needs to get to Zora Ledge for that Fire Rod to put them in GT mode.
So I took a look back at the VOD, and so what happened with the original early flipper checks was Don Venier did a water walk coming out of Ice Rod Cave, but took that water walk up to Hobo directly instead of going up to Waterfall Cave and scouting out the Fire Rod then. So it's sort of a choice of whether you head up to Waterfall Cave with that or go to Hobo, because if you come off of Hobo, you have to fake flipper and swim your way back, and that can feel really slow for out-of-logic checks early on.
Well, actually, they had flippers at the moment, unfortunately.
Oh, that's right, they did!
Because that was a footwear cave with Mini Moldorm Cave, so definitely not a required, fake flipper to that area. It's just... was there other information coming in from Leviticus at that exact moment that was like, hey, this is the better play?
Yeah, that's definitely something we will have to ask about after the race if we get a chance to do an interview. Because that's certainly been a pretty decisive moment in the race in hindsight, but certainly didn't look that way at the time.
And I we talked about portal preservation, and I just realized what Orange did. I gotta really commend that play. Orange getting the Ice Rod out of Tile Room, eating damage throughout, all in the effort to keep that portal at Turtle Rock. So gonna go activate that flute, and then head, flute back up the mountain and just go back and be at the big chest.
Yeah, that's a play you see fairly often when you're checking Hera Basement. You take some damage in that tile room to set up a death warp out of the basement after you're done, but turns out you can do it in GT as well.
Yeah, really heads up play. It's going to save a little bit of time, Luckily, Orange wasn't all the way at the back of Turtle Rock at that point, but still a time save.
Ooh, but Orange does not have Quake marked on the tracker. This might be an unpleasant surprise.
And I think this is a nice little piece of knowledge for Orange to find out, am I in go mode yet? No, I am not. Dude, I have to spend the time to go get Quake Medallion.
And unfortunately, yes, but again, heads up, we'll just take an overworld death here in the Dark World, hit save and continue, and we'll just get to restart back in the Light World.
Well, and at this point, I'm kind of surprised, to be honest. I would have thought Orange would have just gone back up the mountain, clear TR, clear GT, ended up on top of Hyrule Castle, and done, the Aga Tower and Quake Medallion gather after GTTR.
Yeah, I think it feels like to me in the moment you would just say, do you remember where Quake Medallion was? And then you're so happy that your partner remembers where that was that you just run for it immediately.
And it does look like we are getting that Zora area check now from Leviticus. And I think we're going to see a very abrupt change from Dawn's route. But down goes Trianex on Jula Ninja's side as Orange is heading into Misery Mire.
And so Orange will be able to scout out where this big key is, so that'll make Julo's trip a little bit faster.
Meanwhile, Jula heading back to GT, we're going to see that GT climb as Leviticus finds the Fire Rod, and Dawn is checking Quakefish, so...
Yeah, Boomer Friendly is still looking for that Ice Rod as well, so it makes sense to grab these along the way.
So it does look like Team Mogliacci will not be finding Gold Sword tonight. Can't imagine they checked that location.
And just some overall commentary on this seed. At about 25 minutes, we were talking about how, oh, we're, only 1 or 2 items away from GT mode and maybe only a couple items away from Go mode overall. And then it took us a solid, 45 minutes after that to track down the Flute and the Ice Rod.
Yeah, we definitely had a lot of checks in that amount of time. So... But that is the power of co-op sometimes, just how quickly you can really full clear a seed. And honestly, I don't know if Julo and Orange really left any stone unturned on this seed.
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to check, like you said, Mire Shed and Checkerboard Cave. There are probably some things in the back of Turtle Rock that are going to get skipped, but that's about it. Both Julo and Orange are going at very nice paces here. Orange getting that spooky glitch in Misery Mire, and Julo getting the nice fast Landmo kill.
And of course, now going through some of the most satisfying rooms of the game, the Wizrobe rooms of Ganon's Tower. And yep, Orange is going to continue to preserve that portal, letting that Murder Dactyl just go to town.
Julo opening those chests at the top of GT. Looks like we're going for the co-op 216 here.
Definitely have heard some teams, you know, joke about the idea of fluffing those item counts. It happens. Also could be looking for Gold Sword. I don't know. Does get a heart container out of it. But yeah, there's really nothing at this point Julo needs.
And meanwhile, Don Venier and Leviticus also making quick work of the dungeons they have left. This nice quick Hera pot clear through Tower of Hera.
But nice kill there of Agatu from Julo. As well as the Cold Stare kill and the Moldorm kill. So, you know, dungeons are just falling quickly here.
Orange, unfortunately, doing that very fun cane dash strat in the block maze at the end of TR, but the Pokey had other ideas.
Yeah, sometimes you can pull off everything very perfectly and the enemies say no. I think everybody's got enough stories of the Patricks in the Hellway of Thievestown messing that up.
That one's just so cruel, because you feel so good about getting the God Pixel, and the game is just like, nope.
So Leviticus entering into GT as Dawn does have to head back for Skull Woods now. So that is the last pendant for Orange. So all the crystal dungeons and pendant dungeons are done for Orange. Just has to climb, get that GT big key, kill Aga 2, then do Aga 1 and on to Ganon. Meanwhile, Julo working through Aga Tower will have to mirror into Light World, go activate the flute, and go clear Mire.
But this will work pretty well for Julo after defeating the Aga 1 here. Then coming out of Mire, you can just save and quit, and the game will dump you back on top of the pyramid. So that will be a quick trip back to the Ganon fight.
Yeah, the only thing you really lose out on, of course, is the full health that you were given for the dungeon clear. But, you know, if you're comfortable with starting at a lower health, and obviously given the red mail situation, I think Julo does have at least a red potion. Probably not too worried.
Yeah, Julo's sitting on 4 bottles. I forget what's in any of them at this point, but probably has some backups there.
But we do have Orange now climbing GT as Julo works through this Aga 1 fight. We also have Leviticus in the GT basement and Dawn climbing up Death Mountain once again.
And I believe that was right on our average of 3 blue balls from Aga 1.
Julo thinking to flute away, but yeah, didn't activate that flute yet.
Yeah, you would think all of these magical items that we find all around Hyrule wouldn't require so much maintenance, but apparently they do.
So at this point, though, this is obviously the middle, roughly, of week 1 of the league. So for the rest of this week, of course, all the teams, working through these co-op info share. Next week, you will start seeing Fad Keys will be our mode next week. If you're unfamiliar with it, it's 80 keys with a little bit of a twist. Some might say they like this twist. The Aga Tower keys, they're going to be in Aga Tower.
I gotta say, that's still not quite faux AD enough for my taste. I'd rather just skip Aga Tower altogether, but I might be in the minority on that one. Oh, very clean Mire 2 there on Jula Ninja's side of the screen.
Yeah, really nicely done. Not wasting any time there. Meanwhile, Orange gets through Moldorm 2, just has Aga 2, and then we'll climb Aga Tower. So it's looking like Julo is going to be our first finisher on this one, but Orange not too far behind.
It looks like the seed is just piling on Boomer Friendly. Unfortunately, at this point, Leviticus decided to go ahead and climb right away, skipping over that Ice Rod and Tile Room.
Yeah, definitely from a density play. I understand the desire to kind of believe it's in the climb, especially as Dawn is going through TR right now. And, the bulk of your items in Turtle Rock even are usually towards the back portion. So I don't disagree with this play. Unfortunately, knowing its tile room makes it pretty difficult.
All Orange has left to do is mirror to Aga 1. And Jula just in the home stretch of Misery Mire.
There we go. That is the last dungeon clear for Jula Ninja, heading now to fight the big pig. And we get to see that power of the Aga Tower clear already, just as a save and quit, and voila, back at the top of the pyramid.
Don, Ben, you're about to get the bad news about the lack of Ice Rod here on Laser Bridge.
And Julo using that Cane of Burn, a little bit of a lag strat, but it's much safer, especially given he was kind of on low health.
Yeah, and those safety strats are definitely an improvement over, you know, dying and having to start the whole fight over, so can't really blame Julo for that one.
And it looks like, yeah, Julo is going to set up for the triple here. Nice, waiting for that second torchlight, and yep, nice triple to finish off Ganon. And there we go, Julo Ninja finishing first place overall in the race with an official race time, that GG time of 1:25:30. Get those GGs in chat for Julo Ninja. Now, of course, this is a co-op week, and the way that the timing for co-op works is your finishing time is based on average. So not first finisher, not when your second person finishes, but the average of the two of you.
And I think this is Orange's, yeah, just one more hit for Aga 1, as Leviticus is finishing up Aga 2 right now.
Yeah, and unfortunately, having skipped tile room, you know, still looking for, you know, where is the ice rod? But here we go, Orange dropping in on Ganon.
Orange just missing the one cycle on that first phase, but set up pretty nicely here in phase 2. Get some double spins off on Ganon in the upper left.
Yeah, unfortunately, Orange did not find any invincibility in this race.
But into phase 4 now.
And this might be a triple as well for Orange. Nope, only the double. But finishes it off with that next shot. And with that, this will seal game 2 for Mogliacci, getting them off to a 2-0 start for the season. All we need is that bridge cross, and there we go. Orange finishing second place overall to give the win to Mogliacci with an official time of 1:28:07. GG's to Team Mogliacci.
And
yeah,
good
it does
time here.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say a good time to shout out our trackers again, thanks to Lady Laura Linda and Jinxie Girl.
But it does look like that about, like, right as Orange finished to kind of seal this race, I do see we had forfeits from both Dawn and Leviticus, and I don't blame them. I think, you know, especially as Dawn is about to get that ice rod. So, yeah. Unfortunate. You know, it was a tough race, and I think the route, especially for Julo and Orange, really paying off.
Yeah, and we talked about what a wide open seed it was at the very beginning, but that just means when you have so many choices of where to go, if you just sort of make the wrong choice about which item to not prioritize, and that turns out to be where you needed to go, that can come back to bite you pretty hard. And I think that's what Fire Rod did here. So, but definitely a good race from Boomer Friendly. Acquitted themselves well, and we'll see if we can get the runners up in here to chat to have their thoughts about the seed. Also, while we have a second here, we can talk about the upcoming races. There's a lot on the schedule for tomorrow in the Invitational League. Oh, we got races at 5:40, a couple at 6:10, 9:40, 10:10, sort of scattered across various Speed Gaming networks on Speed Gaming Prime and 4 and 5. So be sure to check out the League Discord or the League website, ALTTPRleague.com, to get some more information about those upcoming races.
And we are now joined by our runners tonight. GG's, everybody.
GG's.
GG's.
So I hate to do it, but we have to ask about that Fire Rod.
Of course you do. Of course you do. To my understanding, after talking to the other team, we both left it very late. And I guess that just happened. I mean, we got flippers very early, but we just didn't go there, I guess.
I mean, Desert was too alluring. You get boots and book.
Yeah, but there were several times in the seed that Don and I made the conscious decision not to do flipper checks yet.
Yeah, it's
And then after I did an Ice Palace, I thought I was like, my plan is to do Ice Palace, then mirror, then do flipper checks. And then I did Ice Palace, and then I forgot to do flipper checks, and I save and quit away.
yeah, like at that point too, like I found like flute, and so it's kind of leading you the paper trail here. It's like, okay, find the flute.
Then Don did Hobo
Quake.
at one point, and
I guess you do a pyramid into front of escape. Oh, that found us the Quake to get us into Misery Mire. And once again, it just kind of leading us more and more away from that Zora area.
Yeah.
Yeah, that flute was definitely an out because you two found that well before we saw the ice rod in Tile Room. So we sort of thought, oh, maybe if the ice rod is behind there, that could definitely buy you some time back. But unfortunately, just didn't work out.
Yeah, there was nothing behind the flute at all. It was just progression, so it's just necessary for go mode, really.
But it was a really fast start to this seed. How are you guys feeling about it about 25 minutes in when you found, Dark World access already and all of that stuff in Desert Palace?
It's always
I
great.
loved it.
It's always great for about 5 seconds, and then you realize, if you've played Rhino long enough, you know that when Light World dumps a bunch of required items on you really fast, it means that the Dark World on the back half of the seed is going to be an absolute slog, and it's going to be the worst thing ever, which is pretty much what happened.
Yeah, as soon as I got to the Dark World and did a map check, I saw TR, Misery Mire, and Swamp, all of it being pendants. So it's like, all right, that could mean Ice Rod is in TR. That could mean Mirrors in TR. Could mean Flutes or not TR, in GT. All these things could be in GT. 3 different things could be there. And so I'm like, all we need to get into GT at this point is Fire Rod. So once we find that, we got to go rush GT.
Yep. And then we promptly did not find it.
But yeah, at least things were fairly early on. We got those boots early, so none of that pesky slow walking around Hyrule that you have to do sometimes.
That's always appreciated, yes.
I think another interesting decision point was fairly early on when you got Dark World access. You guys on Mogliacci, you sent one person, I think it was Julo, up Death Mountain to sequence break that, whereas Dawn and Leviticus, you stuck more to the logic. Any particular thoughts about how you approached that particular decision?
I'll let Julo go first.
Ours was just it opened too much of the world, and it was Orange that went up the mountain. He was going to anyway with the glove hook shot, and then Desert gave us Mitz, Moonpearl, and Mira. So like, I might as well do all of the mountain while we can, and have medallion knowledge for TR as well. So it just kind of worked out.
I must say, it was nice having Tempered for the majority of the seed. So,
Yeah,
hello.
Julo, a lot of great uses of just a fighter sword throughout.
Yeah, I'm sort of used to either having tempered or gold or being stuck with fighter sword. Very little other practice.
So yeah, as far as us, we talked about before this race, between this race and the last one, we talked about when you hitting Dark World access, doing like Village of Outcasts and Thieves Town together, and then splitting off from there to do North and South Dark World. And because we checked PED like 2 minutes into the seed, and we knew Cape was on there, we wanted to check Cape Ledge pretty quickly so we would know if pedestal was actually required or not. So that's kind of led us into doing that. And then, but because we got Swamp and Mitz so early in Swamp access, what we ended up doing was just sending Dawn to Swamp, just because it was full dungeon, 6 items right there. And then I was going to do Thieves Town and then go north, which we ended up doing. But it left us to ignore the mountain. But we figured if we find any sort of access to TR or anything like that, then we can do the whole mountain all at once, and hopefully that will happen. It's not quite how it worked out, but that's just the way we were thinking about it.
And yeah, so this will bring your week 1s to a close. Are you guys looking ahead to week 2 at all? How are you feeling about Fad Keys for next week?
Dawn is not playing that week, so I don't know how he feels about it, but I guess it's not relevant. But I mean, I like that. I like the mode. It's pretty fun. Our opponents are going to be super difficult because Shack Tools are really, really good. I think they top 4'd or top 2'd the Invitational last year. So, Rando's Rando, anything could happen, I guess. But I'm not going to say, if anybody's voting in the league pick'em, save your points. Just don't.
I mean, I get to sit out Fad Keys possibly, so I get to just relax until week 3.
I have to consider very carefully when I want to do Aghanim Tower. But the good thing about Fad Keys as opposed to AD Keys is that I am only looking for 1 Ice Rod as opposed to 3 of them.
Yeah. I do like it better. I think that Fad Keys is an amazing change. It makes AD Keys way more bearable. It fixes like the one pain point of the whole mode, really. So I think, in general, I think it's great.
So on the sorry to go back to this race, I do want to ask this on Orange. Going to check Meyer, you find out that it's Quake Medallion, and then you just decided to prioritize the Hyrule Castle play for Quake. Any thought to doing TR and GT into Hyrule Castle Aga?
Thought never came to mind. I was just too tunnel visioned on saving my TR portal.
Fair enough.
So yeah, we were talking about this at the beginning of the race, that your reward for being in the Invitational League is that every week is a really, really tough matchup. So congratulations.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Our strategy of not getting relegated is not starting out very well, but there's
It's
more
only
ways to
one
come.
week, and we don't need that many. Okay. So
You'll get points. I mean, I'm sure you'll beat Skull Kids.
I mean, I don't want to speculate on who we may or may not beat yet, because I think everyone right now is in this league is super good, and I don't want to underestimate anyone, because I feel like if there is anyone that we have, like, I'm sure there is a team that we have a best chance of winning against. Statistically, there has to be one, but I don't want that to be the one I underestimate, and that's what makes us not win that game. So I'm just trying to keep everybody. I'm basically treating every team the same, and that is i.e., very, very good.
Yeah, that's more than fair. In truth, the Invitational is brutal.
Yeah, I mean, you can look back at the teams who got relegated from last season and go, well, crud.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think that about does it for me. GG's all around. Thanks everybody for a really fun race to watch. So
Yeah, absolutely.
any final thoughts from anyone on this seed?
I didn't like it, but
Not a
to be
fan.
fair, I feel like I say that about most seeds, so I guess it wasn't that bad. Do I have to? I guess.
I mean, honestly, I think as a commentator, I've seen this actually from chat. You know, I think we all kind of have that general inclination to, after a seed or during a seed, go, this really wasn't a good one. And the common refrain I've seen from chat is, why do we all love this game so much? I mean, it is just that much fun.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't think the seed was that bad.
I mean, I probably just feel that way because we almost hundoed it, but
We did
I guess
hundo it.
I'm biased. Take it for what you will.
We did hundo it.
I mean, Ice Rod and Tile Room by itself is not great, but
Okay, I will say the bad thing about the seed was Mountain only having swords.
For sure, yeah.
Swords and a flute.
Yeah, that had
Yeah,
nothing
but-
on it.
With how early I went up there was no way I was going to have bombos.
Yeah, it's true. Well, good luck next week, you guys.
Same to you.
And then your future rounds for sure. GG's.
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 so yes, that will just about do it for us here tonight. Thank you all for joining us for some late night rando in the US, or whatever time of day it happens to be for you. Once again, shout outs to our trackers, Lady Laura Linda and Jinxie Girl. Thank you to our runners for putting on a great show, and thank you all once again for watching. I have been Cool Papa Bell 2282. Jesse, you want to take us out?
Sure. Thank you all for watching. As always, the rest of this week and for the next few months even, we're going to have plenty of rando here on all the Speed Gaming channels, so make sure to follow all of them and be ready to see tons of races. We are just in the middle of week 1 of this season, a 7-week season, an extravaganza of rando. So make sure to keep checking out everything to see some great quality races. But until then, have a great night, and we'll see you all later.